Hello and welcome, friends. Today our video is about subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. Well, yesterday we learned about subtracting fractions with like denominators. You might have thought that was a piece of cake. We're going to be doing unlike denominators today, which requires a little bit more work. Remember that when you see that pencil icon down here at the bottom, that means that you need to be taking notes, alright? Alright, so let's review our vocabulary. Numerator and denominator. I hope by now you remember these words. Numerator is the top number in our fraction. Denominator is the bottom number in our fraction. Mixed numbers is a whole number and a fraction. Simplifying and reducing is the thing that we know we always have to do to get the correct answer. It's making our number the smallest version of the number that we can. LCD. Take a minute and see if you can think about what those letters stand for. LCD. Oh, it means lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator is a common denominator that you can think of to get two unlike fractions on the same page. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. A multiple. So a multiple is a number that can be divided by another number without a remainder, so it goes in equally. And then a common denominator is a shared multiple of the denominators of several fractions. Alright, so we're going to start out with our first problem here today. It is 2/3 minus 1/6. I'm going to write that a little bit bigger up here, and you write this on your notes, okay? So I'm looking at my fraction blocks down here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. First of all, I can tell right off the bat that these two fractions do not have the same denominator. So I need to find another fraction to represent 2/3 so that they have the same value and the same denominator as 1/6. So I'm looking at my fraction blocks here. 2/3 is represented right here by these little orange blocks. I'm going to try to find how many 1/6 blocks make up the same amount as 2/3, because then that means that it'll be an equivalent fraction. So let's see how many 1/6 blocks I can fit in here. I could probably fit another one here. So I have 3 and 4. Alright, so I'm looking here. I have 4 1/6 blocks. 4 1/6 blocks are also known as 4/6. Now, 4/6 is making up the same distance as 2/3. So in other words, I could say that 2/3 can also be described as 4/6. Now, alright, so now I'm looking at this. I have the same denominator. I have both 6. So 4/6 minus 1/6. I can do that pretty easily. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3/6. But remember, we always have to simplify. Is this the smallest form of this number that I can make this? I don't think so. I think I can make it smaller. What is a common multiple that 3 and 6 have? Well, I could divide 3 by 3 and 6 by 3 to give me 1/3. Perfect. Alright, so I know what you must be thinking. Well, what if I don't have fraction blocks just laying around for me to use all the time? Well, you can also use area models, just like we did in yesterday's video. So when we are subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, we can also use the area model. So I'm looking right here and I can see, well, my problem is 3/4 minus 2/3. I don't have the same denominator, which means I can't just subtract right off the bat. So these are my two area models that I drew to represent my fractions. 3/4, I have 4 parts here and 3 parts shaded. And 2/3. So I have 3 parts and 2 of them are shaded. Well, as you can see right down here, what I'm going to try to do is find a common denominator that I can bring them both to. So all I have to do when I'm using my models is figure out how I can divide up those blocks so that they have the same amount of parts. So all I have to do is make them so that they have parts of 12. So for this one, all I have to do is just add three vertical lines. And then for here, all I have to do is just add 2 vertical lines. And that gives me 12 equal parts. So now I can see, well, I have, how many shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 12 parts. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of the 12 parts. If I subtract those, 9 minus 8 is 1, 12. Pretty easy. Alright, so I have this problem here, 3/4 minus 1/3. And this problem has a little pencil down in the corner, so that means you should be remembering to take notes. So, I have these two fractions here, and I can tell right off the bat that they don't have the same denominator, which means that I can't just solve them right away. I have to do some work first. So what I'm going to try to do is I need to get them with the same denominator, and I need to have them with the lowest common denominator possible. And that way we won't have to do as much simplifying. So I'm going to try to think to myself, what is a product that both 4 and 3 have in common? Well, the one I'm thinking about right now is 12. Both 4 and 3 could get to 12, right? I just have to think about what do I multiply these numbers by to get to 12? Well, 4 times 3 will give us 12, and 3 times 4 will give us 12. Alright, so a really important rule is if you're multiplying the bottom by a number, you have to make sure you multiply the top by the same number. You do the same thing to the bottom and the top. This is really important. So if you need to pause the video, make sure that you have this statement written down in your notes. Alright, so here's the step by step. I have 3/4. It's the same problem. If I know that 4 times 3 will give me 12, I have to do the same thing to the top. So 3 times 3 will give me 9. So my new fraction is 9/12. Okay, so remember I need to get the second part. I need to get that with the same denominator of 12. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. So I have to do the same thing to the top. 1 times 4 will give me 4. So now my new problem is 9/12 minus 4/12. Both of these have the same denominator, which means I can subtract. Okay, 9 minus 4 is 5. 5/12. Well, let's think about it. Can I simplify this problem? Is there anything I could divide 5 and 12 by to get them smaller? No, I don't think so. I can't divide 5 by anything to get it smaller. So that means that this is the simplest form, 5/12. Alright, so I know what you're thinking. Well, what about mixed numbers? I learned how to subtract with mixed numbers yesterday, but what about if they don't have the same denominator in the fraction? It's the same thing. So all you have to do is find the lowest common denominator for the same fraction. So in this problem here, I have 5 3/4 minus 3 1/2. Okay, so what is the least common product that these two things have in common, 4 and 2? Well, if I think about it, 2 can go into 4. So I could change 1/2 to have a denominator of 4. What do I have to multiply 2 by to get to 4? Well, 2 times 2 equals 4. And remember our rule, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So that means 1 times 2 is 2. So I'm looking here now. Do I need to change anything about this fraction? If I have 2/4 and 3/4, can I just subtract those? Yeah, I can. I don't really need to do anything to that. So 3/4 minus 2/4 is 1/4. And then I have my whole numbers here. 5 minus 3 is 2. So my answer is 2 1/4. Alright, my mathematicians, it is now time to go show what you know. Go to Canvas and take your quiz for the lesson. Remember, if you don't feel ready, review the slides, look at your notes again, and good luck.